There's always been a nasty stigma surrounding free-to-play games, because more often than not, the free part of the game comes with a nasty catch, either in the form of grinding, pay-to-win microtransactions, or other tactics to entice you to keep playing while not really making much progress. I would be lying if I said Genshin Impact is free from these catches, because it is not. But despite having many of the usual traps in free-to-play games, especially in gacha games, it has enough positives that got me hooked for who knows how many hours now. And that's for a very good reason. It is one of those rare free-to-play games that can be truly played as a single-player title, and it even has a plot. But I will say that the plot in Genshin Impact is not much of a plot per se, so much as it is a premise. You play as a dimensional traveler who one day gets attacked by a mysterious entity and gets separated from your twin. The overarching objective here is to contact the 7 deities of Teyvat, and from there on you find yourself having a long epic adventure, because each deity resides in one of the main 7 nations, and that is just the tip of the iceberg in your search of your twin. Because to even get close to your goal, you have to go through multiple story arcs. You're gonna be going on multiple adventures and getting involved in all sorts of troubles, political intrigues, and monster hunting. And at the time of this review, you can only complete the first 2 nations. And that is the first catch of many in this game. The adventure is so massive, the remaining nations are supposed to come in major updates over the years, which gives you an incentive to keep playing, but it also gives you a weird sensation that you are playing an incomplete adventure. Unless of course you treat each nation as its own game, because you cannot really rush this even if you try it. In order to advance the story in Genshin Impact, you need to have a certain adventure rank. You gain adventure rank experience by simply doing quests, or many of the other activities available. If you find yourself several ranks beneath what you need, the game will be generous and give you more side quests in order to get you to advance. But what kind of activities do you do in Genshin Impact? Plenty, to my surprise. Exploration is the bigger mechanic here. You want to check each and every single corner of this massive world. There is a surprising amount of verticality of this game. While most things are within reach, some others require you to climb entire mountains to get there. That means learning to manage your stamina so you don't fall and die, and do some very interesting platforming challenges. Whenever you are exploring and doing quests, of course you will have to face enemies in combat. And I do like the combat in this game a lot. It's more of a hack and slash type of combat rather than your traditional turn-based combat. The twist they add here is that you can only play as one party member at a time, having to switch characters if you wish to use their other abilities. It is very simplistic at first glance, but once I got the hang of it, I found myself juggling multiple enemies and doing insane elemental combos while constantly switching characters. It was intense and fun. There is a good enemy variety here, from simple goblins and some petty bandits to mythical golems and elemental creatures. Their danger is relative to both your level and what kind of damage you are packing on your party. And while I said fighting these monsters is fun, by themselves they hardly yield any meaningful reward or even experience for your characters, and that is the second major catch. Characters and weapons level up with their own assigned items. In the early hours and during general gameplay, you are going to have piles of these things at your disposal, but you will hit a level cap until you reach a certain adventure rank, and once you reach said rank, you will need specific items for each character and weapon in order to level them up more. And the stronger you make them, the harder to find these items become, and that is when you start running into the grind. Some enemies will drop just what you need, while others will require defeating several enemies for even a chance to have the items you need to drop, which becomes a bigger problem if you need something from the bigger damage punches in the game that are not bosses. Every other item you get in the domains. The domains are essentially the dungeons of this game, and they come in 2 varieties. The blood dungeons you need in order to beat specific quests, and the time trial domains. The latter ones also drop the items you need, but they will only do in specific days of the week. They are not too bad, but true to Grindy's nature, they can get old at times, especially when you need those very rare drops. If there is one positive to get from this part of the gacha system at least, is that no matter what you're trying to level up or craft, the game always shows you the ingredients and where to get them. along with a handy book that tells you which enemies or which domains carry what you need. But you're gonna have to be patient while dealing with them, unless of course you want to get into the microtransactions. And this is where the third and biggest catch of the game comes up: the resin system and the wish system. In the former, you need to pay every time you face a major boss or enter a domain in order to claim the items you need. The latter is how you can get extra weapons, and it's also the only way to gain new party members once the game lets you have the first 4 for free. I have seen players accuse this system of being pay to win, but I don't think it is. It's more of a pay to keep playing in case of the resin, and pay to have more wishes in the case of the primogens. The wish system is the biggest source of contention for many here. You can craft a single wish token and try your luck, or you can gather 10 wishes that can guarantee you a character. You just want to know which character you're gonna get. And there is a chance you may also get repeats, which also carry some of the more unique upgrades for specific characters, and you don't really have other way to get them. But despite these negatives in the gacha system, I'm actually having fun with the game. If you know what you're doing, you can have piles of all resins available for free. And more often than not, the developers hand out primogems like they are candy. But outside of those systems, simply playing through the game and the story have been genuinely fun. I have not spent a single dime in this game, and while I know not everyone is immune to spending money in gacha games, it's certainly doing something right with me if it's giving me my share of fun. I know this game gets compared a lot with Breath of the Wild, but I can't really comment on it since I don't have the game or a Switch to get an opinion on my own. But what I can comment on is that despite being a very typical anime game, the world here is surprisingly beautiful. There is enough variety in the environments to keep exploring interesting, and the vertical part I mentioned earlier for explorations means you can often run into very amazing views. The fact that you can climb on every wall available means you can reach to places that other games wouldn't even begin to let you see. Even if there are no collectibles, just the act of getting to a high vantage point to enjoy the view makes the climb all the more beautiful. Now, I wouldn't exactly call this world a super living, breathing one, but what it does set out to do, it works out fine really. Going through the plot and its political and religious in-universe themes can get legitimately interesting. Just make sure you use anything other than English for the voices. Nothing against them or the voice actors, but having Paimon make up 90% of the conversations can get especially grating with the English voices. It is also pretty amusing that this game follows the typical spot the main character meme you find in many animes. Characters that are going to be relevant to the plot or characters that are going to be playable, they will usually sport a more unique design and, of course, the more unusual hair color. Characters that are just going to be enemy NPCs or just generic NPCs in general, they will have a more dull color palette and they will wear simpler clothes. I know it is a dumb little detail, but it is something I find very amusing and I kinda like it, even if it is very typical of anime games. Overall, Genshin Impact is one of the better free-to-play games in the market right now, and I will dare put it right there with Warframe in terms of just letting you have your own fun. It is not perfect by any means, but if a game is letting you play to your heart's content without too many restrictions, then it is clearly doing something right. This is why I'm giving Genshin Impact a very solid 8 out of 10. Between the music, the story, and the combat, I don't see myself uninstalling this game anytime soon. I will want to take a few breaks here and there though, as I wouldn't want to get burned out too soon. Still, this is one of those games I am more than happy to experience and look forward to the new adventures future updates have to offer.